episode 61 of The Beardcaster. My name is Scott Sakura, and I am The Beardcaster. Welcome to a podcast all about beards, mustaches, and the beard culture with all the fun stuff that goes along with it. It's about the facial hair lifestyle we live from our daily lives in the world around us and how we deal with life. So please join me as I share the stories about these people and hear how they are using their facial hair to do great and fun things. Welcome to the Beardcaster podcast. Thank you so much for checking us out today. I am so greatly appreciative. My name is Scott Sakura, and I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Today's episode is with Mr. Brad Jackson, who... And I can't tell him thank you enough because I had such a fun time doing this interview with him. He is such a great guy. I was really touched by this whole interview because we really got into a few tangents of things that are important to me or things that were experiences that I've had that he's had, and it was kind of like a real bonding experience between the two of us. But you know, anyone in the bearding community, there's always some sort of unique correlation between you and them. So it was really great to talk to Brad, and I really hope you enjoy this interview. We talked a little bit about the Whisk'er Away 2, which is a beard and pinup prom, which they're doing on February 10th. And we talked a little bit about well, not a little bit. We talked, most of the interview revolved around music, which was kind of really cool. And, we talked about the BAMSTL, which is the club he's president of, and Roughneck. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. Roughneck Beard Company. If you've been in the bearding community for at least a day or two, you should know what this company is. So, but that's today's episode. I'd like to thank everyone for checking it out. So if you want any more information about me, myself, and I, you can go to thebeardcaster.com for more information about me. You can get hooked up to my social media, my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, and YouTube through that. Itch my beard. It's a little dry right now. And you can subscribe to the podcast through Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify. There's just so many to choose from. So if by some chance you're listening on a app, and you can just type a search in, search for the Beardcaster, and you should be able to get a hold of me through that. So that's about all the business we got. Oh, no. No, that is not all the business we have. So, while talking to Mr. Brad Jackson from the Roughneck Beard Company.com, that's the address right there. So I'm throwing that in there. So, as we were talking, he was telling about this really great product they have. And when you're done listening to this interview and you're done hearing about some of the great products they have, you can go to roughneckbeardcompany.com and go searching through all the wonderful products they have. And once you get that cart all full and you're getting ready to check out, you can go enter promo code TheBeardcaster and get this. Now, Brad's so awesome, and I'm literally tingling inside from the greatness and awesomeness from him, but he offered a promo code to me for 20%. That's right, 20%. 20 with the little circle with the line and the 0. 20%. So if you go to roughneckbeardcompany.com and you order any of their products and you enter promo code TheBeardcaster, you'll get 20% off your order. So thank you, Brad, so very much for being so kind and generous to everyone that checks out the Beardcaster podcast. I greatly appreciate it. And I really hope they enjoy this episode with you because I learned so many great things about you And BAMSTL, I learned so many great things about all the products that the Roughneck Beard Company puts out. And well, let's just get right into this, because I can't handle like waiting to hear this, because I'm like dying to hear this episode again, just because of the conversation we had. So let's just dive right into this and action. How's the weather there?
It got cold today, man.
What's cold?
Yeah, I think it's cold everywhere, but we had a couple days that were like in the 50s and almost up in the 60s, and then all of a sudden it dropped back down. It was snowing the next day. So
damn, yeah, that's kind of like how it was here too. It was when we went. We just got back from. We went down to Kentucky to the Whisk'er Mania 3.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It was a great time. The whole ride down there kind of sucked. It poured rain, like literally from Cleveland all the way down there, and we got there, and then the sun kind of tried to come out and everything, and it wasn't like it was all right. The weather was okay, and then it just kind of rained the whole entire day. And yeah, but then we get up the next morning and it was like 50. It was like super warm like the next morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And drove back in the sunshine, got back. It was nice and warm. It was warm all day long. And then like Monday hit and we already have we got like 10 inches of snow last night.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
So that was a surprise.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
That was a surprise to wake up to this morning. But yeah,
I bet, man.
Kentucky was it was awesome. It was great. I think the best part of Kentucky was seeing all the great people and just
oh yeah,
and it being like really the first big comp of the year.
Yeah, I love that they changed the date, man, because they used to do that in the middle of July.
Yeah, and it just the conflict with so many other, and then I think at one point they did it in October too, and they couldn't find their spot, and as I was talking to Ryan, I'm like, he's like it just worked out perfect, and I'm like, yeah, because it's like the first one, and there were so many people from all over the place that was there, which was really cool.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be well attended since it's like yeah, I mean, there's, every time we typically go to Fort Worth in December for Decembeard, and then that like cuts our year off until Austin in February,
Yeah.
So, and then everybody goes through hard withdrawals all through January and stuff. So the idea of throwing a January event is brilliant, man.
Well, yeah, December's pretty dead too. I mean, there might be one or two at the most, and then it's a lot of, at least for us, like a lot of clubs do like Christmas parties and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, same.
And they might
have one here it's the weekend after Thanksgiving. It's the Great Ozark Beard Off or whatever.
Ooh.
Down in Eureka Springs, which is like a beautiful like kind of tourist destination.
Yes.
But it's super. It's like during their off season, pretty much. So the Department of Tourism over there is like really into it, and they put a lot up. And it's a pretty small event as far as competitors go, but it's held like at I think 6 different bars or something through the area. And so it's like you do one category in one place, and then like kind of move down the road. It's sort of like a pub crawl beard comp.
Well, that's cool. Well, before we get super far into this, I want to introduce my guest. His name is Brad Jackson, or you might know him as Brad Jackson, but he is rad. He doesn't need to be rad.
I'll take it. But Brad Jackson.
Yes, Brad Jackson. And he hails out of St. Louis, Missouri, which is home of the Cardinals, right? The baseball team.
True.
Which apparently they're pretty good. I don't know. Not as good as the Indians, though, I don't think.
They say that, man. They say that. they say they're decent, man. But I think you guys have the Reds over there, man, right?
No, well, we got the Indians, the Cincinnati Reds. We got down south, yeah.
Cincinnati is our big
nemesis,
or was for a little while. Was our nemesis after the Cubs were.
No, I think
unfit for the job.
But apparently the Cubs are everyone's nemesis right now. So,
well, yeah, of course, man.
And the Major League Baseball is the nemesis of the Indians right now because they're taking away Chief Wahoo from us.
Uh-oh.
So that's the big stink going on in Cleveland right now. Is they're removing all remnants of Chief Wahoo on their jerseys and hats and everything for next year. Are they
going to change the team name?
No, but they're still selling. They're still going to be selling merchandise with Chief Wahoo on it. Just the players are not allowed to wear it, and they're not displaying it at the stadium.
Weird, man.
I guess there's a lot of fans that are upset about it. I mean, I'm like, I understand, but to me, it's like that classic logo or icon that I've always grown up with, and it's like
Sure.
one of my favorite logos. And you know, to get rid of that like is like stealing part of my childhood. And you know,
Right.
when you're a child, you have no idea what that means. You don't know the controversy behind it. So
right.
But yeah, so for me,
Just that stuff in general.
Yeah, it hurts, but I was happy to hear that, at least we get to keep, I can go to Walmart and buy an Indians hat and it still has Chief Wahoo on it. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the beard world right now with Brad Jackson. So you are the president of the Beard and Mustache Club of St. Louis, correct?
Yeah, it's Beards and Mustaches of St. Louis. Yeah, it's BAMSTL.
Yeah, I know. I put the club in there. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew. I know that the C did not fit in there, and your little acronym doesn't work.
Yeah, that's okay.
So tell me a little bit about the club and how you got involved in it and your position.
Well, so we are.
Wait. Tell me what's the dog's name?
It's Emmy Lou.
Emmy Lou, how you doing, puppy?
She's itchy, man.
Oh, dry skin.
Dry skin, man. It's the season for it, for sure.
I know some products that you could probably put on her skin that might help.
Yeah, I know. I have a couple things, yeah.
But we'll talk about that.
I pretty much use our soap exclusively on her.
Oh, really?
Really does the trick, man, yeah.
Do you use any other products on her?
I mean, I've used some of our oils and stuff, but a lot of essential oils, you got to be really careful about animals.
Yeah, but what about the base oils, though?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So she gets like really itchy paws and stuff. So I'll definitely use the oil around the paws and stuff on the pads of her feet.
All right. Well, we'll get back into that in a little bit, but let's go back to the whole club and stuff. So go on with what you were saying before we were rudely interrupted by the dog.
No, it's all good, man.
We love the dog.
I guess funny. I mean, really, I started my company before any of it. And through that, I started going to regional events in order to, sell my stuff.
And what is the company, in case someone does not know who B-Rad is?
Right. It's Roughneck Beard Company. So I started that company, and I immediately was looking for, trade shows and farmers markets and any other kind of place like that where I could go to sell my stuff. And that's sort of how I kind of fell into the world of beard competitions.
Now, what year was that about?
This was late 2013.
Ooh. Right.
Yeah. So it's been a minute. Really, I went to a handful of events and met a lot of guys from the community. Guys that we know, all pretty well now. But Cody in Nashville was a big one, and at the time, Wayne Mincy was the president of the South Carolina Beard Club. And so I'd go to these events and I'd make these friends. And, before you knew it, I was an honorary member of all of these clubs and this, that, and the other. And about that time, the St. Louis Beard and Mustache Club reached out. The president of the then president of the St. Louis Beard and Mustache Club reached out and, was basically like, hey, man, you ever going to come join this club? Because I'm,
from the town. Yeah.
And exactly, yeah. And up until that moment, I don't know why I didn't look, or if they were just kind of in an inactive period, but I hadn't heard anything about them. So at that point, I was kind of like, yeah, man, totally. And me and a couple of my guys went and we joined up, and we hung out for probably about 10 months as members or whatever. And then it really, we after 3 months with that club, you become a voting member and different things. And there were just a few things that we brought to the table as far as ideas on, how many yearly charity projects we wanted to do or social events and whatnot. And, it was kind of the will of the club to, it's a full democratic thing over there. So we basically say, how about we do this? And if they vote it down, they vote it down. There's nothing much we could do about it, So it kind of went like that for a while, and basically just kind of ended with a relatively amicable split, where the guys that really wanted to do a lot more, we kind of broke away and we started BAMSTL, and then and that club is still very active. They throw a yearly competition, and, nothing but love for them entirely. We kind of do things a different way. One of the things that's relatively different is we're a board-led club, which kind of allows us to sort of, really be sure. We keep like a super open door policy as far as, there are no ideas that are unwelcome kind of thing. Like everybody that's in the club, we treat it kind of like family.
Unless it's murder, right?
Well, right, exactly.
Okay,
but we're going to listen to the idea, you know. But then the club can't vote us into that position. See what I'm saying?
Okay. So I make sure.
So we kind of come up with plans and directional ideas and events and fundraising opportunities and stuff as a club. And, we do a very informal vote as far as the board is concerned. Just kind of like, sound good to everybody? Yep, cool. Yep, okay, that's what we're doing. And, that's really it. We have a pretty heavy focus on traveling and competing. It's kind of rare. I don't think we had anybody in Louisville, which is the first year that we haven't had anybody in Louisville, but it was just I think it was an odd weekend for most everybody, but it's pretty weird to go to a competition. Really, this side of, I guess, Colorado, where you won't see us. We're all over the Midwest and all over y'all's region, and we get all the way to the East Coast all the time and stuff like that. So we do a ton of that, and then we make sure we do every month we have a monthly meeting and a monthly charity night and a monthly social night.
Well, you guys are kind of in a really good location though, because you're almost like dead nuts, like in the middle of the country, where you can just kind of go every which way. I mean, to go to Chicago or go to Texas,
4.5 hours.
Yeah,
4.5 hours to Chicago, 4.5 hours to Nashville, 4 hours to Kansas City. It's only 9 hours from here to Dallas. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice. We're a good launching point.
Yeah, St. Louis is such a beautiful city. I've been there a couple times. Great music scene. They have this big, tall thing that, like, it's called the Arch, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some really great things in St. Louis. I loved traveling around, and St. Louis was always one of the best cities that I was ever in.
Yeah, honestly, I left. Let's see, I lived here from the time I was 4 years old. No, false. I lived here from the time I was 7 years old until really like 21 or something. And about the time I was 16 or 17, I went on the road with some bands and
Slayer?
Not Slayer.
Oh.
Not Slayer. Right. But about that genre, kind of, yeah.
Who was it?
There was a band called Bleed the Dream that took me out for the first time. They were kind of like that sort of screamo variety, Warped Tour stuff.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and then I pretty much just kind of hung into that life for about 6 or 7 years until, kind of the weird thing about, I guess, that sort of like punk rock world is that, I was 23 years old and I felt really old.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids, that were coming out on tour were on summer vacation from high school, just like I was the first time. So I couldn't hate it, but it was kind of like, all right, sort of time for me to get out of here. So then I moved down to the Gulf Coast to start making country music with old men.
Oh.
And yeah, it was a blast. But the point is that I was gone for probably 5 or 6 years. And before that, I didn't love my city very much, No, and since I've been back,
you're young and dumb, and you don't appreciate the stuff
exactly
until you see everywhere else.
Totally, yeah. And so when I came back, like my son was born in Nashville, and we moved home pretty much immediately after that. And really, since then, I've just been falling in love with the city all over again, kind of thing,
Well, that's really cool.
It's amazing, man. There's so many cool things happening here right now.
Well, to kind of jump off the subject and to go off on a different tangent, like you said,
Sure.
you started off in a punk rock lifestyle, and you ended up moving down to the coast and went the country western way or country blues way. Now I kind of did the same thing. I was in a metal band, and I tried out for a country band. Like, it was such a an odd, but the thing is I really enjoyed it, and I would have made that move too, because it was just, for the love of music, you kind of follow where your love is. Now,
totally.
Now, how does that lead you into like what you're doing now? Because like I told you, I said, I saw this video on Facebook I think it was a couple weeks ago, and it was like Brad Jackson was singing, and I was like, "Wow, I didn't realize you were in a band, or I didn't realize you were doing anything." And I clicked play, and I was just floored. I'm like, hey, "Dude, this man has some pipes."
I'll take it, man. I mean, the whole, you know, the short version of the long story, I guess, is like I said, you know, I was feeling pretty old being on the punk rock thing, and my family had vacationed in Gulf Shores, Alabama, pretty much our whole life. We did every spring break, and you know, on and on. And I was kind of looking for a place where I could go because, you know, my dad raised me on Merle Haggard and George Jones and all that kind of stuff. That's his kind of music.
Is that Tom's brother?
Wait, what's that?
Is that Tom's brother, Tom Jones?
Tom Jones? No, no, false.
Okay.
This is yeah. Maybe Tom is George's brother.
Oh, all right.
You know?
Jones, you know, Jones Smith.
Right.
You know, they all could be related for all we know.
They could be, man. They could be. But yeah, so you know, I really wanted to kind of cut my teeth doing that kind of music, and I didn't really know where to start. And I was, you know, kind of messing around in St. Louis with some of it. And, you know, there's not a lot of, I mean, we do have a lot of heritage roots here as far as music goes, but it's steeped mostly in the blues and in, you know, jazz, and even, you know, this is St. Louis, like the home of like ragtime and stuff, but where there's kind of been some moments for honky tonk music or traditional country music in general, it's not really, you know, there's not a huge scene for it here. So,
yeah.
You know, I knew I wanted to go somewhere where the people like really appreciated it. And honestly, you know, my first thought was, Nashville. And then, you know, before that, I was like, well, everybody in Nashville does this, you know. So I need to go someplace where I can kind of cut my teeth playing for tourists and making a little bit of money doing this. So, so I moved down to the Gulf Coast with my then girlfriend, and we lived there about 2 years, just pretty much right on the beach. And
oh, geez, did it get cold at night?
I mean, a little bit, but not really. No, I mean, cold was not a familiar feeling until we would come home for Christmas and stuff.
Yeah, I would imagine that. Yeah.
This was immediately post Katrina, so property value was just like ridiculously cheap, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think the first place we moved into was like, you know, a block off of the beach, and it was like a 3-bedroom for like $750 a month or something, you know, just kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
Property value wise, you know, but yeah, but about the time I got there, I realized, you know, a lot of the dudes playing music were like these, you know, pretty legendary songwriters and stuff. You know, I mean, one of the guys that he actually played lead guitar in our band for like 2 years. His name's Jody Payne. He played guitar for Willie Nelson for 37 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and he stepped off of the bus and was just living down there, and you know, gigging with us for $100 a night. You know?
Wow.
So, really, really, really unexpected, cool. You know. And I got an education like I never really planned on getting, you know. And a lot of those guys pushed me to go to Nashville. So I went to Nashville and found it to be really corporate. And whereas every night in Alabama, the music was magical and had all this soul, Nashville was really, I guess, soulless, you know, like it was very corporate, very... they know what they're looking for, and nothing else flies there.
But if you're going to, and this was my experience with Nashville, like when I was in my band, we went to some music convention in Nashville. We played like 3 or 4 shows and stuff down there. But being a music fan, the one thing I loved about Nashville is there's music 24/7 in that town.
24/7. Absolutely.
Any bar you go into, even if it's at like 10 in the morning, there's some sort of live music there, and it's all good. Every person is freaking good.
Yeah, and I lived there for 5 years. So I mean, you know, you figure out your part of town and where they're playing the kind of music you want to play, and you figure out where you can play and where you fit into the whole thing, you know. And I did decent. I mean, I you know, pretty much was on the edge of a decent little publishing deal, like a desk writing or a desk jockey songwriting gig, you know.
Well, that is that is the place to go if you want to get noticed too. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, still even now, like people think either, you know, New York or Los Angeles, you're going to make it big. I swear, it's Nashville is the place you got to go.
You can do it in Nashville. Yeah, I do have some friends. I have a lot of friends. I
have friends too.
And do you have those?
Yes, I have
All right.
friends.
Well, good. Good.
I got nervous there. I was like, man, I don't want them to think I'm a loser and I don't have any friends.
I understand.
I
I appreciate the validation there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. You have friends there.
I'm happy to help. Well,
right.
No, I was saying I have a couple friends that are their bands are getting a lot of attention these days. And one of them told me when I was in Nashville, she and I were hanging out in the basement east in Nashville. And she said people ask her all the time why she left Nashville. And she tells them all the time so that she had a shot at making it in music, So it's a great place to come up. But as far as the way that they do business there, for me, like I'm a big dude and, a lot of the feedback that I got was, man, we really love your sound and we really love your songs. Now, if we can just get you with this personal trainer, everything will be cool. Right.
And I don't mean to interrupt your story, but that was a lot of the story of when we went to Nashville.
Right.
We were playing in front of, execs and stuff like that. And we ended up, they had us come back and they put us with, like a stylist and a choreographer, and they sat with us for like the whole evening, and they're like, all right, we want you to act like this out there, and we want you to move like this, and you play this, and this is how you move. And it's like, that's not music to us, man. That's not the soul. That's not the feeling, but that's the business.
Exactly. And a lot of the time, for a minute, I got caught up in it just because, at this time I had a baby on the way, and I'm thinking in my head, if I don't make some moves here, so I'm going to have to surrender a little bit on my punk rock attitude and just, do the things. And I've never really been very like anti-producers, like the label that we're on now, they, periodically, or they're talking right now about the idea of putting us with some producers that'll basically we'll play the song raw, and then they'll say, okay, what if we did this, this, and this to kind of spice it up. And I don't hate that. The little punk rock bone in my body is kind of like, hey man, these are my songs, but like
the skeleton will always be there though, that you built.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I don't hate that because, I think, it takes a village for a lot of things, and I don't think music is any different, but as far as like the image thing is concerned, there's only so far I can go on that route. So basically after about 5 years, and my son had just been born, and I was felt like I was spinning my wheels in Nashville. But I was sitting on this stage at this writers round thing, and I'm wearing these black cowboy boots, and you probably don't know me that well, but I'm not a cowboy boots kind of guy.
I could imagine. I could imagine you're not.
Right. So I'm wearing these boot cut jeans and these black cowboy boots and this Wrangler, pearl snap shirt, or whatever. And I, get to my turn and I say, hey, I'm Brad Jackson, and I just felt so untrue to myself, and it was really that night where I was like, we're going home, and like I said, this is the short version of a long story.
Oh yeah. No, it's you're in your monkey suit and you've just, that organ grinder's just kind of worn it out of you.
Just that. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the to really wrap it up, I came home and I was sort of done with things for a little while. And then, some of my best friends from high school, really wanted to put together a little basement band and just jam a little bit. And so I was like, yeah, man, let's do that. I've been sitting on the sidelines for too long. I at least need to, feed my soul and make some music and whatever. And it wound up being pretty good. And, I got us a handful of shows just through some contacts that I had. And then one of them, had their third or fourth kid or whatever and had to hang it up. And so we kind of plugged in a professional guy that I knew in that spot. And then, another one quit and we plugged in another guy. And we're pretty much still the same lineup now. It's, me and the guitarist, we've been, best friends since like fourth grade,
wow.
And like, and the bassist and he moved down to Alabama with me and, on and on and on. He's actually got a baby on the way. So we've had a buddy of mine, member of the club. He's one of our officers in the club, and he's the guy that's going to be the new general manager over at Roughneck, but he's playing bass for us now. And so it's really like, it's funny because it's like all friend, you play in Nashville and you're playing with these hired guns and these guys that, play at album quality every single time, and it's great, but it doesn't have a lot of soul. And then, even though the Gulf Coast was magic, I'm like the young kid on the block, so it's really nice to be home and just playing music with like, a lot of my old friends and it's really like one of the things I never did in life was like really focus on my roots here, you know?
Well, and then
so I'm really liking, you know, we caught a little record deal with a local label here, and there's a lot of things that we put together. I organize an event called the River City Opry that is basically like an all country or a country Americana, just kind of roots music event.
Mm-hmm.
We typically have like 8 bands play. It's on one Sunday afternoon a month. We've done 7 or 8 of them now or something. And it's a really good thing, man. There's a big scene building here, and it's like really cool to be a part of it.
But that's like you said, you know, you had to go away to finally realize what you had there and to help develop what you're developing there now with the scene and everything. Now, what did you didn't even tell me the name of the band?
Oh, we're called The Fighting Side.
Oh, all right.
It's sort of a nod at an old Merle Haggard song. There's politics involved in that song that I don't necessarily love, but it's the thing with Merle Haggard is he made
music.
He made a music career. Well, right. Yes, he did that.
Good.
But he made a music career out of a criminal record, you know, and I gotta admire that, you know.
I think there's a lot of musicians out there, or artists out there now that have done the same thing.
Totally, yeah. There's a story where Merle Haggard was he went on the Johnny Cash show, because by the time he was coming up, Johnny Cash already had his own, you know, late night show or whatever it was. And he didn't want anybody to know. He and Johnny were talking about kind of their rap sheets, you know, here or there. And Johnny Cash had always kind of pretended to have a rap sheet where he didn't, you know, he was never really that, you know, bad or like, you know, he didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
He never really got in any kind of trouble, you know. But they were basically kind of swapping stories, and Merle was real adamant that, you know, they keep that a secret because he didn't want anybody to know that he had been to prison. You know? And that was kind of the thing, is Johnny Cash was like, dude, are you out of your mind? Like, they love this stuff, you know? And so the next album that Merle came out with was with the one with Lonesome Fugitive and a bunch of, you know, tracks like that, Mama Tried and things like that, basically kind of capitalizing on the idea that he had been to prison a bunch of times and he was a criminal, you know.
Everyone loves a bad boy.
Totally, man. Yeah. And he sort of skyrocketed toward that. And I've just always respected that, you know. I know politically the guy never really knew where he stood, you know, but he always stood for the working man, and I can't hate that either.
Yeah. I mean, and he stood for what he loved. And you know, and when it comes to music, it's the musician and like guy like him, it's all about his art and his music, and that's all you really need to share with the world. Fully.
Yeah.
So as all of this is going on, we're going to tie this all together. Where does your beard fall into this whole thing, and how does this lead to Roughneck? Because I mean, I'm sure, as most musicians are out there, they're just a bunch of lazy bums. They don't shave, and you see all these guys out on the road, all these musicians who have these big beards, and they just don't care, and you know, they just do it because they're lazy ass fuckers. But I mean, now. I
just pretty much sponsor all of those guys now. That's kind of my deal.
Well, you know, hey, you got to market for it. You know, I mean, you know.
Well, and it's also it's kind of my way of being able to tie my business into the music scene. You know, I really enjoy being able to do that. But
so how did you get involved in the whole? Needless to say, just like what inspired you to grow, number one, and then how did that lead you to get into the Roughneck stuff?
Sure. I feel like it's pretty much the same story that you hear from almost every company owner. You hear the story so often because it's
very similar to Oprah Winfrey.
Right, exactly. My story is exactly like Oprah's, and that's all anybody needs to know.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, I've always had a beard. I mean, since I could, I used to, keep like a chin strap or a little goatee kind of thing. And then I guess honestly, it was about the time that I moved to the coast that I kind of started letting it grow out from just like a clean up chin strap kind of thing. And then about the time a few years later that my son was born, because that's just like for people that don't have kids who want that insight into what it's like, there's basically just this 6-month period where like you're lucky to get a shower, and it's just the whole, like you're exhausted and, the whole thing.
Yeah. Your focus is on that little being.
Totally. You're just covered in puke and stuff like that. And so shaving is not a thing, so really about that time, it was really right then. And I was working for this, production company. I was doing like basically stage management stuff for this touring dance company. It was really kind of a weird spot for
River
me,
dance?
No, it's like a contemporary dance thing. Like they would do these
stomp.
These weekend, yeah, I know. Yeah, well, they would do these like weekend retreat things at hotels, and they were like workshops. All these big choreographers and instructors and stuff would come from all over the country, and we would basically just build the stage and run the lights and sound.
Oh, all right.
Stuff. It was pretty cool. But all of a sudden, they kind of went a different direction, and they dropped all the crew guys, and I kind of had this, newborn baby, and I'm looking into like, oh no, what am I going to do now? And so really, like while I was between jobs, I was thinking, okay, well, well, I mean, really, the deal, like my beard was itchy, and and I was
what?
No. Yeah, imagine that, and I Googled like, what do you do for an itchy beard, and that's sort of how I fell into the world of like oils and balms and all that kind of stuff. And I probably dropped like, I mean, really only like maybe $100-$200 or something. And like I said, this was like late 2013, so there wasn't a ton, it was like Beard Brand and Bearded Bastard and a handful of guys. Now there's 872 companies. Or
I think 875, 876, 878.
About half of it. Yeah, if you keep counting, there's new ones starting every time.
Every minute.
Yeah, exactly. But then a handful of them are falling off, so every now and then you got to rewind.
Yeah.
But really, at the time, I spent about $120 on most of the stuff that was available at the time. And, I had known some stuff about oils, but I also have a tendency to just like way over dive into anything, like I'll just Google for hours and just kind of go way down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
As far as like these skin oils were concerned, because I was pretty clear right off the bat that this was basically just a relabel of like hair and skin oils that have been around for a long time. I really expected a lot more stuff, because really, if you look at what these things should do, it's all about the fatty acid content, the triglycerides, and if you basically, I know, imagine that bump of science,
big words.
I know, totally. Well, and if you apply this stuff right, then you basically, you wind up with something that you can put on your skin that's supposed to reduce inflammation and increase the general skin health. And if you're putting it in your hair, it can enhance the pigment. And then it's obviously going to soften it and increase the ease of management and on and on and on. But
you sound like a salesman right now.
I know, right? But I'm saying that there's a list a mile long of the benefits that you're supposed to get from a product like this.
Yeah.
And then, the stuff I was using, I really wasn't seeing any of that. It didn't itch that bad, but really, like, once the product evaporated, everything was kind of crunchy, and, didn't really, I was no better off than I was going in,
Mm-hmm.
So that was really what we did. I put together a blend of, it's 8 different carrier oils, from my research and now from lab testing. It's one of the highest on the market for fatty acid content and triglyceride content. And I really just did that for a while, to the point where, I needed some grocery money because I was about to be out of work. And I was like, man, I'm going to launch a website, and just see what I can do here. And, it's 5 years later now. And June will actually be our 5-year anniversary. So,
oh, wow.
It's obviously going good. I picked up this job working for this nonprofit the same year I started Roughneck. And really about 3 or 4 months later, I had to quit to be able to focus on it.
Wow.
And it just built and built. And really, man, I give a lot more credit to the formula than to anything else, And, like I said, I go way down the rabbit hole when it comes to things like that. So it's like I blacked out and made something awesome,
Yeah. Well, and now you've even grown to the point where, and if I remember correctly, I remember even seeing pictures a few years ago where you even opened your own your own shop.
Totally. We have a brick and mortar store, and we sell to the public out of that, and that's completely doubled our revenue stream, which is amazing. But the neighborhood absolutely loves it. People come from all over the city to get it. And we've actually wound up where people come from like really far away. I always advise people, I'm like, don't do that.
Jesus, Alaska? Someone flew in from Alaska?
I had a guy come in from Louisville to visit the store, and then a guy come in from Joplin. These are like destinations that are 4 and 5 hours away, And I'm like, well, what's bringing you to the city? And they're like, the Roughneck store. And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. Like,
do you guys have rides and stuff there?
No, nothing. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, come visit the city to visit the city, and then stop by the store while you're here, But yeah, it's gotten really weird. But the cities, especially the neighborhood we're in, man, they're a really big fan of the store, and we involve ourselves in every local event that we possibly can, and all kinds of stuff. So it's been a ton of fun, man. But now we do all the production in house at the shop. We have a whole workshop down in the basement there.
Oh wow! So now from you starting the business as being pretty much the chemist. Are you pretty much now just as the guy in the office doing the paperwork, all that bullshit, and you have other guys doing the mixing and all that stuff?
So we have anywhere between 3 and 5 employees at any given time.
How about right now?
And right now we have 4 employees.
Okay. How about right now?
Like this second?
Yes.
I just fired a guy.
Okay,
so there's
3. Okay. Okay.
I was counting you as an employee, and then you got on my nerves.
Shit. Sorry. Well, at any given time, I could be fired.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So, okay.
But things are probably going to restructure because, like I said, Britton's stepping up to be the general manager. He's leaving his other job to the point where this is going to be his full-time gig.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
So we'll see what we need as far as other guys to do stuff. But like I said, we do a lot of events. So we always, have a handful of guys that, go work events for us and run our table and stuff like that. But the deal is that I hate being like the administrative guy, and it makes me really bored. So really what I would like to do, I really want to put, like, now that Britton's going to be running the show in there, that's production and shipping and the shop and the whole 9 there. And then I really want to get somebody on increasing our wholesale operation, because we do a lot of that, but we can do a lot more of that,
Mm-hmm.
And then really, man, I just kind of want to get back into the point where I'm just innovating, because that's just where I'm good, and we're actually on the cusp right now of we're becoming Roughneck Grooming Supply Company. So we're going to be offering not just beard grooming stuff, but pre-shave, skin oils, hair tonics, pomades, solid colognes, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of coming up to where we're basically just kind of building this thing into sort of a lifestyle brand, and we,
that's the way it's got to go if you want to continue growing.
Yeah, survival. Well, I'll tell you, the storefront has really been like the best thing for that, because it's basically like an experiment every single day, So if we sit in the store and 50 guys walk by throughout that day or whatever, and 10 of them have beards, and then 5 of them are the kind of guy that would put something in their beard, we're appealing to 10% of those dudes.
Yeah.
Now, and so all of a sudden, if we change our brand a little bit, we do all this, then all of a sudden we're appealing to 100% of those guys,
Yeah. I mean, you're going to offer something to everyone.
Exactly.
Even if you have 100 products, if you can offer them one thing, like if you have a lip balm or something, Hey, I'm walking by, my lips are chapped. Oh, look at this place. I'm going to walk in there and get me some chapstick.
Exactly. Yeah. We're still going to try really hard to kind of focus on making sure, because one of the biggest things is we maintain our line. There's a lot of companies that just have a million different fragrances and all these different things, and you don't really know where to start, So we basically, the way that we do our marketing approach and really the way that we built the entire brand is basically on a system,
The solar system with the planets and galaxies.
Yeah. So you have it all starts with the Genesis, which is
with Phil Collins on drums.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Man. Well, I mean, I wouldn't dare put out a product without Phil Collins.
I know.
But no, this was something we came out with this maybe like 3 years ago or something, and at the time I really feel like it was like a big game changer because nobody really had anything like that. But it's the spray, and it's an aloe vera juice spray. So it's based in aloe vera juice, but then it's aloe vera juice infused with biotin B12. MSM, which is like a naturally occurring sulfur, and then vegetable glycerin.
Whoa, this is my first time hearing about this. Now, I've seen your guys' stuff around, and this is my first time hearing about this, and I'm really curious about this.
Okay, well, I mean, just in general, like we call it our maximizer because really one of the big things that it does, the vegetable glycerin in general, it serves as a humectant, right? So it as it absorbs into your hair, it basically then starts pulling in moisture from the air around you. Mm-hmm. But then it's also going to do a better job at pulling in some of the beneficial effects of added product. So it's basically going to increase the absorption efficiency of product added to it after that. Topical biotin, the jury is definitely out on topical biotin, but it's about a 50-50 right now. So, but the general thought, and most people who have used any type of topical biotin have seen how it makes their fingernails really thick.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah. And so the general thought process is that it reduces breakage by increasing the tensile strength of the hair. But then basically everything else, the B12 reinvigorates dormant follicles by basically getting blood flow around the follicle. And then the MSM aids your body in the creation of keratin in general. So it's basically absorbing, going to work locally there and, spitting back out hair. So it's kind of like, we can't, the FDA won't let us say that it will increase growth speeds. But most of our users, it can increase growth speeds, and most of our users of the product report about 1.5 growth speeds. So
all right, and this comes in a bottle that has a spray top.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So we always advise putting our product on a slightly damp beard. So this is basically just your nutrient-rich moisture, right? So you just spray in enough of that just to kind of get the beard slightly damp, and then it basically just makes the product work harder in general.
I would think this would be something good to put on right before you go to bed.
Exactly. Totally. Well, I advise it for my entire deal is everybody's got their oil preference and their balm preference. And so that was my thought process there is how can I come up with a product that it doesn't matter what else you're using, you need this as well,
Brad, I love this.
Yeah.
This is something, this is wonderful.
Yeah. It was, it really was. It was a really big deal. And a lot of people were really excited about it.
I'm really excited about it right now, man. I'm getting upset that you have not shared this with me.
We need to get you some,
Holy crap.
It's been out for a while now, man. We actually have a adaptation of it as well that we've named for J-Rod Riz out of Tulsa. It's called J-Rod Juice, and it's basically Genesis with anhydrous caffeine as well, which basically just kind of really kicks everything into high gear and tightens up skin and does all kinds of stuff. So there's a couple variations of it now, but definitely I'd say, if there's a product that everybody needs, regardless of, what you're using and, what company you're loyal to, this is something that it's going to make the product work harder. It's going to increase the bioavailability of a lot of the fatty acids that you're basically trying to get anyway, and it's going to increase that absorption efficiency. So,
yeah, I know.
It's basically just make everything in beard oils work harder.
B-Rad, I know you gave me some really great technical jargon there, but all I heard was this is going to make my beard a game changer. That's all. That's all you needed to say.
You need it. Mm-hmm.
I got to get some of this shit. I got to get some of this stuff, and I got to try it out, and then I got to let the people know. I mean, right. I remember when the J-Rod juice came out, and I looked at that a little bit, but I guess I didn't look deep enough into it. I was just too busy looking at the pictures of him.
Right. I know. It's classic, man. That's one of the things that I like that we can do is rather than offering traditional sponsorships, we're basically able to make these products with these dudes' faces on them. And then we just give them, it's normally like a product plus, so we do something that we're normally doing and then we add something to it to make it amazing, And then with that, we do, they get like $3 per product sold into a fund that helps them travel to competitions and things like that.
Wow, that's really cool.
So it's kind of a really cool way for us to be able to sort of give back to this community without, just giving people money.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of companies that just kind of, and I go to enough beard competitions. I know how it works. Like if I'm sponsored by somebody and I go to a beard competition and I'm just drinking and hanging out with my buddies, and then, maybe I get a hold of the microphone when I'm on stage and I go, hey, thanks to Roughneck Beard Company. Hey. And then, that's it. Like, did I as a sponsor get my money worth?
Yeah. And that's another topic that I want to dive into at a whole nother day is, all these guys that are quote unquote sponsored by all these different beard oil companies. I mean, it boggles my mind that, that they can pay for them to send them to all these events or whatever. And it's like, is this guy really going to like sell?
That's kind of my thing, man, is anytime I see a company do that, I typically, and I don't want to like ruin anybody's sponsorship deal. Yeah. So, like,
that's why I said this is a different day topic, but sure. I've definitely talked to you about this, but
yeah, I always feel like they have to be guys that are in the beard oil world that are not in the beard community as we know it, because, like I said, if they were going to events, then they would know, like how it works there, And so it's a lot easier for me. Now, see, if I have a couple of guys and they're making $3 per product sold, and then they go to an event, then guess what? It's like financially, it's in their financial interest to tell everybody to use this product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside of that, I mean, they're friends and they believe in the product and on and on and on. So it's, it's really good things. But I like being able to do it that way better, because then, it's beneficial for me and it's beneficial for them, and it gives back to the community, and it's basically just good for everybody around. And then I never have to feel like I'm giving somebody money to go party and, whatever. And they're, just, or whatever. But no, it's similar to I always try to look at different approaches like that. Like I said, I sponsor a lot of musicians. And the way that we do that is I basically just, when musicians come through here and I talk to them about it, I say, is this something you want to do? And most of the time they're down because it's free beard stuff,
Yeah.
And so I'll give them a little personal package for themselves, and then I send them on the road with like 20 of our items.
Yeah, and then they just put them out on their merch table.
Put it on your merch table, and whatever you get for it, you keep it. So it helps them eat on the road. It helps them put gas in the tank. It, on and on and on. And like I said, it's in their financial interest to tell people about it,
Yeah.
And then also, when you make Instagram posts, tag us in it, and, on and on, and it helps us reach your fan base. And, but it also helps us give back to, touring bands who are having a hard time making a buck out there, so it's good.
That's
good
that's very nice to hear. I like finding ways to where we can do these sponsorship deals, like unique approaches to these things, to where it really truly benefits everybody involved, That's really great. Now,
so yeah,
boy, I'm really learning a lot about B-Rad tonight. I really like this guy. We've
good, man. I like you too.
But we've met a couple times, and you gave me one of the greatest experiences of my life.
With that In-N-Out burger in Austin,
yes. Yes, because I was going to tell you, I just had my first White Castle experience this past weekend.
Really?
It was close, but I ate too much of the White Castle, and that did not agree with me. That In-N-Out was just the right amount, and so especially like I've never had it before, and you're like, oh, you got to get it this way, and I'm like, dude, here's money, go get me what you think I need, and dude,
totally, man. Yeah.
You made my Austin experience like complete.
I'll take it, man. I'll totally take it.
All right, so let's talk about the Whisk'er Away to a beard and pinup prom benefiting Play It Forward STL. What's this all about?
Okay, so this is something that we started doing last year, and I really feel like I'm sure there's other clubs that do this, but really the main thing is that we were sitting around and we just talked about the idea of just holding like the trashiest prom that we possibly can, just an excuse to dress up, and then but we knew before we even like booked a place that it needed to be at like a VFW hall, it's crucial, right? This is something that we're kind of going to do. We're going to do it every year, and we do it around Valentine's Day. And last year we did it for the local USO. So everything that we raised last year. But it's basically, it's really simple. We have some people come in town for it, and it's a lot of local people, a lot of people that aren't even in the club or whatever, that just see the event and come to it. And but we joined together with a local group of pinup girls to do this event. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's beard prom at a VFW hall. So we get like all the trashy disco ball and the lights, and we play the duck dance, and we do the what's it called? The Cupid Shuffle or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, all those stupid dances that you do at weddings.
We do everything. The electric slide and the whole thing, and then basically it's $15 a person and $25 for a couple, and there's food, and we crown a prom king and queen, and we do the whole thing, and we just do it for a local charity that might need a little hit at the time, and it works out to be a pretty cool event, man. It's it's one of our favorite romance events, but most of our club officers wind up picking our dates from among the pinup girls.
Ooh, that sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, it's super fun. Yeah, and then we take the cheesiest prom pictures, and we set up the classic prom backdrops and all that stuff. But there's a whole we have a whole prom committee that plans this all year long.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, it's super fun, man. They do the food, all the way the food and the playlists and the decorations and everything.
So, and then it's to help benefit the Play It Forward, which is their mission is to bring the arts to underprivileged children in the region.
Man. Play It Forward is my favorite charity in St. Louis. So, like I was telling you before, the club is a board-led club, and a lot of our guys, Steve is our vice president, and he's just in deep with the veterans charities all the time. And, Dave is one of our club recruiters, and he really likes to volunteer for Humane Society. And so he's really into the animal shelters. So we try to kind of rotate everything we do so that we're helping one thing at a time. And it's kind of my turn on this one. And I always love benefiting the arts where I can, just as a musician and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and the children too.
Well, totally, exactly. And Play It Forward is so cool, man. A lot of the time it's as simple as there's a kid that wants to play and his family can't afford it, and, so it'll be maybe they're looking for a tuba, or maybe they're looking for a violin or an electric guitar, or, on and on. And so it's cool when we can give them money, but a lot of the time the local music community here will kind of rally together and see who's got an instrument that's sort of sitting on the shelf collecting dust, and then we'll kind of pass it right along through them, right into the hands of some, kid who really wants to play it, And so I'm pretty excited about that. We benefited them as one of our 3 charities for our inaugural event, our beard competition. And we were able to get them a little over $2,000. And the cool thing about working with them is that since we gave them $2,000 or whatever we did, and then they would basically say, to us, today we bought an electric guitar for Chris. He's 7, and, whatever. And it was so cool to be able to kind of see our money get spent, on an individual personal basis like that,
Well, yeah. Because then it's that
exactly.
where you might be doing a big event and you're donating thousands of dollars to charity A, and it's you're just handing over a check to them, and it's all right, now.
Totally.
Okay,
yeah. We
pat on the back and see you later.
Yeah, we absolutely love working with charities that we vet all of our charities in a very specific way, I feel and there's a lot of amazing charity, a lot of clubs work with Make-A-Wish and all the bigger, and things like that, Children's Miracle Network and stuff like that. But we really like to keep it local here, and we really look into we like charities that report. We obviously want them to report, but we're also looking for people that really couldn't do it without the help of the local community, and then a lot of people who are, out at events and they're really grinding and stuff, trying to kind of, do that stuff. I really like working with those entities because, we're not just writing a check and then getting that pat on the back and walking on down the road. We get to actually continue and follow up. And, we worked with one charity who basically put our money to use buying materials for us to go into their homeless shelter and build a bunch of walls and rooms and stuff for them. So it was cool because, we gave them the money to cover it, and then we did all the labor too.
Well, it's even given more and more.
Totally, but it's really nice to be able to kind of have that,
personal involvement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we know exactly where our money's going, and it's so cool to be a part of that, But Play It Forward is my personal favorite. So every time we get to do an event and the distance that they can make $400 or $500 go is amazing, and with an event like this, that's more in the ballpark of what we're probably going to come up with, So, I love working with them, man. But yeah, this event in general, man, I mean, it's just a good trashy time, instead of VFW hall. So the drinks are cheap. And, the songs are cheesy. And,
well, and
they set up karaoke for us too. So
it's a
later in the night.
Well,
it's good.
It's a fun party for the club. I mean, if you think about it, it's a fun party for the club. There's no stress. It's just, hey, let's go to the Goodwill, pick out a tacky suit, and show up and have a good time.
Yeah. One of the other things that we do, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, but we have a tendency to host this event directly across the river in Illinois. St. Louis is right on the Missouri-Illinois border, right? So we go across the river there, a little further than right across the river because it's a little sketchy right across the river. But
it's wet.
We go into like the Collinsville area is typically where we do it because there's a club. Because
it's where Phil's from.
Sure, I'll take that. Yeah, so we will.
Phil Collins, get it?
I know where you
throwback joke there.
Yeah, this is our second mention.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go over there because we do this event kind of like in cooperation with. There's a club that's the 618 Facial Hair Crew, and then there's the Southern Illinois Beard and Mustache Enthusiasts. And we're all, within about 100 miles of each other. So we do this event and then with the Smoking Aces Pinup Girls. So it's really like these four entities involved in planning this event, And it's really cool to be able to like collaborate with other clubs on stuff,
But once
they have a tendency to kind of give us our, we have a lot of the free reign as far as location is concerned and stuff, but everybody chips in to make this event awesome. And we're really excited, man. This is our second one. Well, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, and that's nice though. Like I said, but though it's a gathering of like-minded people trying to it's not a competition, so you don't have the stress of the competition.
Right.
It's just hey, let's do a fun little party this night.
Yeah.
And what's left, let's donate it to a charity.
Exactly. Now, it's a really cool thing.
Now you guys do a big competition later in the year. Now when is that and what is that?
Yeah. So we haven't landed on our exact date yet, but we always do October. October 20th is normally the roundabout thing, but it's the Arch Classic Beard and Mustache Competition. We just held the second one. So, we've been a club since late 2014, but we took our time before we wanted to host our competition because, I've been to
8.
Yeah, 8 competitions ever. No, the first year that I was involved, I did 17.
That was way off.
And then, right. And then every year after that, I did 28, 30 something. I mean, I've done a lot. I've done at least 100 and something competitions, and I've judged a lot of those. And I've really been able to pick up what I love and what I don't love, and what's successful and what's not so successful,
Yeah.
And of course, I always admire the clubs that can raise like $15,000, $20,000 at their event,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also really admire the clubs where, maybe they're making a smaller donation, but God, it was an amazing party,
Mm-hmm.
So we really wanted to make sure that our event is right there in the middle. So we've named it the Arch Classic. We go with like a really classy kind of theme, but the entire event is sponsored really heavily by PBR, and the drinks are cheap and the judges are drunk and the whole thing. I mean, it's we want to really toe that line between being a classy event and a shit show,
Yeah, well, heck yeah. I mean, that's what it is.
Right. Totally.
Every beard competition is that.
Exactly. And those are always the ones that I love, man. Those are. I mean, I've been to a couple events where, they're very classy and there's white linens on all the tables and they want you to sit down,
mm-hmm.
and things like that. And, I mean, there's a time and place for those events, but that's not going to be St. Louis, that's all I'm saying.
Because they have an arch there.
Yeah, we have an arch here, man. It's a giant Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Sitting right there on the river. But yeah, so yeah, we have a great time, man. We've at our inaugural event, we had one of the best judges panels I've ever seen in my life. I'm just saying. I felt, we had Nate Johnson and Brian Nelson and Guido and Grizzly and oh my gosh, who else? Jeff Langham and
my Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it was
the
huge.
Superstars.
It was, yeah, and that was our first year, and then we raised almost $8,000 for our charities, and it was really good. And then the second year, was equally good. We had Crystal Davis and
I don't know
Sean Logie.
Who those two people? I do not know who they are. I've never heard of them before.
I'm sure you have not. Yeah, I do. And I don't know. It's been a really good time, man. It's been a blast. We always have Jared and Troy. They run things as Dick and Riz. There are, kind of club or event MCs, for the rest of time. The first year, Troy did a thing where he
wore sunglasses.
Oh yeah, we wore sunglasses for sure. A whole box of them. No, but one of the prizes for best in show the first year was that you get your face tattooed on Troy's left ass cheek, and that I know it's still gonna happen. This was 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago now.
Wow.
It's really just been that the artist that donated that concept and Troy donating his ass cheek have not found the time to link up yet. But it was Taz, metal Taz from Austin, and he's going to have his face tattooed on Troy's left ass cheek.
That's impressive.
So yeah, we really try to go with the big prizes, prizes that just keep on giving, man.
Yeah, that's a definite pain in the ass.
Right, exactly. Yeah, first year we did it for a Rise Veteran Foundation, Play It Forward, which is what I was saying, and then Gateway Pet Guardians. It's a dog rescue. And then last year we did Arbor Health Fund, which is like a veteran thing, and then we did 10th Life, which is a cat rescue place, and then a program called Art Scope. I know. But a program called Art Scope that basically is like an art gallery for kind of like
bad breath
in underfunded neighborhoods for kids and stuff. So
I was way off.
They kind of give kids in kind of low income areas like an open creative space. It's pretty cool stuff, man. So, like I said, we always try to kind of pick our charities like that, where we're helping like animals, veterans, and kids, and arts, and
cats,
all the stuff. Yeah.
Don't forget the cats. Don't never forget the cats.
And cats.
Yeah, and cats.
and cats.
And cats. Oh my Lord.
I liked it when we did the dog year. But the people that run 10th Life are amazing, man. It was really cool to.
We love the
be
puppies.
Involved with them.
Love the puppies.
Yeah, the puppies, man.
Maybe one year a club will do like an iguana rescue fund.
Right.
But probably not, though. They'll probably want to save the cats.
Yep, cats and dogs, man. Cats and dogs get all the love.
All right. Well, B-Rad,
yeah.
This was... I'm going to use this in capital letters. Fucking fantastic.
Dude, it was great to talk to you, man.
This was so great. Like, I loved learning all about I think the music part was like the best part that we talked about tonight. Like, I just loved hearing about that. Just a great...
It is funny because I feel like I've been in this community for a long time, and until we released an album this year, most of my friends in the community were like, wait, what? And I guess I just don't talk about it often, I don't know.
I mean, that's just like I said. I mean, I'm like, we talked for I don't know how long, and you never even mentioned the name of your band.
Well, yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, it's a big part of me, man. But I feel like I don't know.
That's a very humble thing. I mean, and like I said, when I watched that video of you singing, I was just like absolutely floored. Like, I was like, the voice. I mean, your voice is very distinctive and everything, and very deep, and like, I could picture you as being a singer, but just to hear your voice, I was like, holy crap! Like, it was just. It just has such like depth and soul to it that I loved it.
Thanks a ton, man. I've been working hard at it for a long time.
I mean, I just might have to make it out to St. Louis sometime to watch you play.
Come on anytime, man. We're looking at doing some short little runs around the region and stuff too. So I'm sure we'll get out your way too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, let me know when you're coming to Cleveland, because I will definitely come, and we'll get the whole Beards of the Old Northwest to come out and watch you.
Yeah, we will. I wouldn't come out there without hitting those guys up, man.
I know. Well, that's the other fun thing too, is like you could go pretty much anywhere in the country and just draw upon your beard friends to like fill a club.
Right. Yeah, I encourage all of my music buddies and stuff to join their local beard club for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a community where everyone supports everyone. I mean, it's,
totally. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, come out to a show, let us crash on the couch, et cetera, et cetera. You know.
Yeah,
it's a good community to be involved in, especially if you're running around the country a lot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So I greatly appreciate you taking this past hour out of your day. Like I want to laugh because like yesterday we were going to do this, and
that was awesome, man.
Both the dumbasses we both are didn't even realize we were in different time zones.
Right.
And I'm waking out because I'm like, holy shit. I'm like trying to like go through my dinner. My wife's like, what's going on? I'm like, I got an interview in like 5 minutes. And I'm like choking on my dinner. And then like I text you and you're like, oh yeah, well it's only 7:30 here. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, there's an hour difference. I'm like such a
we're
moron.
Talking about later, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, I'm like such a moron. So, but it all worked out good. And I'm so happy. Like this is like one of the most delightful interviews I've done. Like,
oh, dude, thanks, man.
Dude, you're such a great dude, and I can't wait to see you again. And I wish you the best of luck with the
it'll be sick, man,
Whisk'ers Away too. And yeah, I guess that's all I got to say. And I got to get some of this spray. Like I'm like,
yeah, I'm gonna get you some like immediately. I promise. It's just gonna show up in your mailbox.
Oh, that'd be great. Now, how many people do you have working for you right now?
2 now.
Shit, man.
2, yeah. While we were on the phone, a couple guys quit, and then I hired a new guy, but then he already realized that we're full of shit, and he quit too. So, yeah,
I was waiting for you to say like 10 or 15, because I was gonna be like, there was a big growth, and then shit, and then you know.
Well, now that I lost a couple guys, now I got to do a big hiring push tomorrow. Yeah. So.
Well, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Well, good luck to you with all your changes that you're making, and
thanks, man.
I can't wait to see you again, and thank you again.
We're confident about the future, man. It's going to be all good things.
Well, I'm definitely St. Louis is a definite stop on anyone's destination if they're going.
Yeah.
So if it's mid-October, end of October, keep your eyes peeled. One of the greatest competitions in the country, right in the middle. Like it's not that far for everyone to go to.
Super easy, man.
Super easy. But yeah, I'm having like flashbacks of Nam right now. No, well, that's not kind of funny. But when I was in St. Louis the last time was when, and as I was talking about it, it reminded me of when I was there last time. It was when we had the school shootings in Chardon.
Oh, dang.
And I was on tour at the time, and St. Louis was the last date of our tour, and we got into St. Louis, and the news hit that there was a school shooting in my hometown in Chardon, Ohio. Yeah. 3 kids died, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, all I wanted to do was get home. But still, it was like I enjoyed my brief time in St. Louis, but it was like as soon as that show was over, it was like in the car, like flooring it back all the way back home.
Remember where you are and stuff like that,
yeah. Yeah, and yeah, so I mean that's another memory I have of St. Louis, but it doesn't take away from the enjoyment that I had there. I mean, I've been there multiple times, but
come back, get some new memories too.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interject such a sour story.
You're all right, man. You're all right. We'll get you back here, and we'll fill you up with good times, man.
Yes.
You'll have a lot of new St. Louis memories.
Oh, I will. I'm going to go to the Arch.
Yeah, I'll take you there.
I want to touch it.
I hadn't been up in it since I was a kid, man, so I'll totally go with you.
Okay, you and I, it's a date.
Deal. I'll see you then, man.
Okay, Brad. Well, we'll talk to you later, and thank you once again so much.
Later on, man.
And cut. Thank you, Brad, so much for taking the time out of your day, because I know you're a busy guy, to talk to us about Roughneck Beard Company, to also talk to us about BAMSTL, and to really talk to us about, this is the reason why I called, was to talk to you about Whisk'ers Away 2, which is on February 10th. But I want to thank him so much for giving us this really great promo code. So if by some chance you're looking for some new product to test out, today is the day. Now is the time to go to roughneckbeardcompany.com, enter promo code TheBeardcaster to get 20% off your order. So if you've been on the fence about ordering some sort of different product or whatever, right now is the time to go to roughneckbeardcompany.com with the promo code TheBeardcaster to try out some really cool new stuff. I can't wait to get this spray stuff. I'm like chomping at the bit. Like, I wish I had it on me right now. This is like ultimately my dream item that I've been waiting for. And I don't know how, like, for as long as I've known Brad, I don't know how this specific item is just like kind of went under my radar. But I'd like to thank him for sending me out a sample of that, because I can't wait to try it out, and I will definitely let everyone know my honest opinion. I love Brad, but I will give you my honest opinion of how I feel about this product. So stay tuned for future episodes, and you can do that by going to thebeardcaster.com/subscribe to be able to subscribe to the podcast. You can do it through Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Oh, what else? What else am I on? I don't even know. There's like so many. Pretty much any podcaster or podcasting catcher app that you could listen to a podcast on, I'm on. So if you're listening to me on like some weird, I don't even know the name of it, but if you just go into the search part and you type in The Beardcaster, I should be on that. So I hope you subscribe. Definitely tell your friends about this and everything. So I greatly appreciate it. So thank you everyone for tuning in today. You can go to thebeardcaster.com to get hooked up with all my social media and to just say hey. But another thing I want to have you do is I have an email address, scott@thebeardcaster.com. The last episode I did with MJ, I asked for some beard beefs, and I've got some awesome feedback already. So if you want to send me some feedback on some of your beard beefs, I kind of mixed all that all together. But if you want to send me some feedback on your beard beefs, you can put in the subject line, beard beef. You're going to send it to scott@thebeardcaster.com and write in some beard beef that you have, something that really bugs you. Or if you have some sort of beard bonus, as I'm throwing quotes up in the air, you can put in the subject tag, beard bonus, and email it to scott@thebeardcaster.com. Send it to me, write your beard bonus in there, and we're going to address all that stuff on a future episode of The Beardcaster. So thank you everyone for checking into this today. I know there's been a lot of mistakes in this, but you know, hey, I'm a normal guy like everyone. Everyone makes mistakes. So it's been a really fun night talking to Brad, and I'm just kind of on this like weird high right now, and I'm rolling with everything. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure you tell a friend, and don't forget to go to the roughneckbeardcompany.com to order some stuff, and don't forget to enter promo code TheBeardcaster to get 20% off your full order. Thank you, Brad, so much. And you know, all my fans who listen to me every week, this is such a great thing that Brad did for us. So definitely check the stuff out. It sounds like it's some really awesome products. So give it a try. That's all I can say. So thank you everyone again, and I guess we'll see you next week, and we'll talk to you later. Ciao.